Hello and welcome everybody to Around the Battleground. My name is LHS, and this week's show is a little bit different from everything we've done before. First off, I want to apologize for being sick. Wife brought in some sickness, so I eventually got it. So I've been dealing with that. Even though I'm not at High Res Expo, I still caught nerd flu. It's my punishment for not going. So I did this to myself. On second. We were going to have Fun Ball as our special guest co-host today, and then we ran into some technical difficulties, and unfortunately, we were not able to actually get him in. We have talked to him and rescheduled for something in the future. We'll have him on the show for sure, and I'll let you guys know where that goes. But this episode, because I'm sick, because Worlds are going on right now, and because it is just me, it's going to be a little bit shorter. So I'll be talking about the placement rounds. I'll be talking about what's happened so far at Worlds today, and then looking forward to the rest of the weekend. And I'll give you my predictions on who I think is going to win it all. After that, we do have an interview with the coach of LG. We have Haithi around for an interview. We pre-recorded it yesterday. I wasn't quite as sick then, so you can see the progression of my sickness from yesterday to today with that. But let's kind of get into it. Let's talk about placement rounds. It was a really interesting event. Was a LAN where we saw international kind of get more than one shot at a game. Winners and losers bracket. We saw SML teams there. Overall, it was a really, really good event. There was a lot of great Smite played there. There was some, one-sided games, of course, that you kind of expect. We had Mouse kind of trounce their international team. But we did see some really cool close games from the international teams. So LG, I had a game taken off them by Nocturnes, and they were close to getting a second game. We've had the CLG kind of looked good against Atletico. Atletico had a couple points where they could have maybe won. They didn't end up doing it. Armada looked pretty decent at times as well. I mean, across the board, although we had Obey, Rival, Trifecta, and Space Station emerge victorious, we did see a lot of really good Smite come out of this LAN. For one, Trifecta really surprised everybody, beating Mouse, beating CLG. They took the hardest road to get to Worlds, it felt like, and they got the 2-0 over Space Station to get better seeding, and that's a really important point I think that we're going to forget. And they're looking like right now they're tied 1-1 with E United, and they look like they could be knocking off the defending world champ. So this Trifecta team, everything is starting to click for them. And then Obey looking really strong, Rival looking strong. LG against Obey was probably one of my favorite sets from NA, just because they showed what you have to do, or one of your options when you're playing these EU teams, that aggression beats EU. EU teams don't generally play against aggressive comps and aggressive teams, so they started the game off with the gas pedal, and it almost worked until it didn't. LG gets 2-0'd by Obey, but overall it was a really good game. And so this LAN is something I really want to see a lot more of going forward. It was really interesting to see all of these teams kind of interact over the course of about a week. Seeing the LAN meta evolve, seeing Fenrir kind of getting last picked between then getting first picked. We saw a lot of really cool, interesting stuff. And I just want to see more LAN environments like that, a lot more opportunity. I want to see these international teams get their shots, these SML teams get their shots. Insignum had a really good run. Unfortunately, Insignum lost their support. Their coach stepped in and won them a set, and then when they got into the next bit, they couldn't really put it together. Overall, I think this placement round was probably one of my favorite Smite events to happen. It was just a really good way to lead into Worlds. Now, looking at Worlds, like I said, we had Space Station, Rival, Obey, and Trifecta make it. So our bracket for today started off with Dignitas, the space station. Then we got in the Splice Obey, followed by E United Trifecta and Energy Rival. And these have been some really interesting some matchups today. Energy Rival is going to be interesting set tonight. It's our next set up. And Energy's playing with Homie Faye as their mid laner after Yamin had to take time off to address his mental health. A lot of people are kind of writing that off. That Energy can't really do anything right now. There's a case to be made that Rival and Obey kind of jockeyed for position on who would play against NRG at that point by how they played their final set at the placements. I won't say if that's right or wrong. But Dignitas Space Station, Dignitas, a team that has struggled at LAN in the past, didn't make it to Worlds last year because of their choking. And then Space Station, a team that, filled with guys who haven't been able to put it together at Worlds in a while. We end up seeing Space Station take a win off of Dig, but then, ultimately Dignitas does take the set in our first game. The first game of the first round sees Barra and Jeff knocked out of the tournament. And so that was really crazy to see. There was a lot of good points that we saw from that game. There's a lot of strength in Space Station Gaming, but ultimately what did them in, it felt like, what is their pick bans for the last game? This is a team that just hasn't been able to escape that yet. Sorry. And it just, continues to be the curse that plagues this team. They had a lot of bright spots, but when it came down to it, they just couldn't hurdle Dignitas. And, you got to wonder why they were picking certain things, why they're prioritizing certain things. It really still feels like that Space Station is that team that plays too close to the meta or whatever the meta is, and they don't really expand too far out. And you're hoping with Dimmy there that they would really try something new and creative. And it just really felt like it was still the same old Space Station. So I don't know what's keeping that around in that team environment, but something's got to change there. Barra had great games. Jeff honestly looked pretty weak today. He was out of position. He got caught out, and he tried to make a lot of things happen in game 1 and in game 3. And it just didn't really materialize into much. Sorry, guys. My voice is starting to go now, too. So the second game up of the day, we had Splice and Obey. Really interesting set because, Splice started off really weak, then kind of put things together and kind of found their stride going into the last part of the season and of the year. And Obey kind of doing the same thing. But Obey, having been there a lot more recently, having, been playing in EU, which is seen as the stronger region, we were all kind of expecting Obey to really walk away with the win. But I've been saying for the last week or so that if Splice is able to play Splice Smite, they have a chance at winning the championship. And Splice was able to play Splice Smite. They came in, they fed the duo lane. They, made chaotic things happen in the jungle when team fights didn't go their way. They stalled. They did exactly what they've been doing. They stuck to their game plan, and it really worked. The Obey played pretty well, but couldn't really adapt fast enough to keep up with the Splice team. You got to wonder if Obey and Splice were playing a best of 5. Maybe that game 3 is where, Obey puts it together and kind of put it away. We've seen Obey do that in the past. I believe they did that with Elevate last year when Elevate was running the Triple Guardian comp. They were able to finally, after a couple games, start putting them away. But, it's heartbreaking to see these Obey boys lose again. Again, first round of this year. At least it wasn't NRG. At least the Splice team has been, or it's a weird point for me because I love this Splice squad and I love these Obey guys. And so watching Obey lose was really bittersweet because I do like Splice, and I want to see those guys succeed. They deserve this. They deserve where they're at right now, and I love seeing Aurora have success. But you at this point, you really got to wonder what's next for Obey. I mean, they've been making slight changes out of the solo lane. They made the change out of support with Raph. I mean, is this a team that's going to stick together? Are their core guys going to stick together? Twig, Prime, and Nate. Is it time for them to kind of explore different options? There's a lot of that going on with EU right now, especially with SK Gaming, Papa Lob, and Funball. These core groups of players who haven't left each other but aren't exactly seeing a lot of success. Is it time to really go aggressive and make changes? I don't know. But that's only one thing that we could possibly see moving forward. Next up, we have the set that just ended as we were in the show. We had Trifecta and we had United. Trifecta, this really young team. They got Sam, who played lights out, probably the best jungler on land at the placement rounds. Paul, again, one of the better mid laners at the LAN, and they popped off. They played out of their minds at placements, and if they could keep that going in to LAN, to Worlds, there's a good shot that they could win, or at least make a deep run. And United, they've been wishy-washy. They've had a commanding lead over the NA SPL scene, but I don't know. At least to me, it was never NA never felt like it was in command of everything, right? I mean, you look at EU and Dignitas is in command of EU, but with NA it's a little bit different, regardless of what win-losses say. And how do you contain Paul? How do you contain Sam? These are new guys. Is the experience difference going to be what really makes or breaks the squad? But Paul and Sam were ready for the big time. Even Zatman, Zatman's a guy who's been, hit or miss lately. Season 5 was not his best season. At times, it felt like he was maybe holding the team back, but he held his own. At LAN, he did what he needed to do. You hear it all the time. How do you win your games? Well, just don't die. So Zap just didn't die. Game 2 had 0 deaths. And they lost game 2, but he was doing his all trying to make those things happen. Sam and Paul continue to play lights out. It's really amazing to watch these really young guys come in and start dominating kind of right off the bat. I'm really excited for it. It really felt like they are the future of Smite. Paul plays a weird hybrid, super aggressive mid. You'd think it'd match up really well against Baskin, who also plays an aggressive mid. On paper, you'd look at Baskin and say his mechanics are just going to be so much better than Paul, and he's going to be able to outplay him. That didn't really materialize. And then you look at Scream versus Sam. Who's going to win that matchup? And it turns out Sam's going to win that matchup. Scary D versus Baskin, a matchup we've had for forever now in a solo, going back and forth. And, Panda versus Zap, it was just a really good game all around. A lot of good plays. Trifecta defense of their base remains to be amazing. They get a lot of their wins off the back of really good defenses. They kind of managed to take the game 10 minutes longer than most teams would be able to. And it's really a cornerstone of this team. So I'm really excited to see what they do. And then you look at United. I mean, the defending champs got 2-1. We are guaranteed to have a new Smite World Champion. Maybe. NRG is still in the bracket, so we could see them. It's highly unlikely. They're coming up next. I'm very interested to see how they perform with Homie Faye. But I'm not very hopeful that NRG is going to be able to put it together. And it's a real shame. NRG was one of a strong team coming into this. if they manage to get a win, they hands down are the greatest squad to ever play Smite. You can't convince me that otherwise. Between Emilito, Adapting, and Maniac, I mean, just looking at Adapting in particular, like those guys, if these guys manage to walk away with a win against Rival tonight, it's gonna be one of the biggest, hypest things in the Smite in Smite history. I mean, it's just what it's gonna be. I don't expect it. I think Rival is going to be able to walk away with probably a 2-0 here, but you can never really count Adapting and Energy out, especially at LAN. It'll be really interesting to see how this goes. So that looking forward, we've got Splice going up against what I'm going to assume is going to be Trifecta, and then we'll have we'll have Dig Splice, and then Trifecta Rival is probably what it's going to be. And that Dignitas Splice game is going to be a really interesting game. I really don't know who to give it to. Very different styles of play. I'll say it again. If Splice is able to play Splice Smite and they're able to stay cool and do what they want to do, I think they have a chance of beating Dignitas. But I'm expecting it to go, the full distance. I don't expect this to be a sweep in either direction. I expect it's going to be, a slugfest back and forth. And it's a really toss-up. If I had to put my money on it, I'm probably, I really like what Splice is doing. I think they're playing really fantastic Smite, and they're playing stuff kind of against the grain of what has been going on lately, and I really appreciate that. I'm always a fan of people coming in and kind of changing things up. So then we're going to have Trifecta Rival. Now, Trifecta almost feels like Rival from a couple of years ago or about a year ago. It's a really strong up-and-coming team coming from, a bunch of players who haven't done a whole lot leading up to this, kind of mishmash together, but have stuck. Well, I guess like they're not really all that similar, because Cyclone was together forever, and then, they just got better. They stuck together. They got better. Whereas Trifecta is just, a bunch of really good SML players led by a couple vets. And it's kind of the exact opposite now that I'm thinking about it from Rival, right? It's definitely the definitive NA team versus the definitive EU team of how they basically got, put together. And I think this will be a really good game. I honestly think I might give the edge to Trifecta in that game just because Paul versus Wolfie. Wolfie has been really hit or miss this year. He's been super passive. Paul is not going to play passive. It'll be an interesting game. Zap and Vote. If Rival makes the focus of this game the duo lane, I think they could really snowball and win off of that. Frustrate Zap, put Zap behind, play through that, get Vote ahead, all of that. I think you can have a lot of success there. I think Rival could play really aggressively against the Trifecta squad everywhere, really, but the mid lane. And that's where they're going to need to be the most aggressive to get Paul dead. Trifecta wins if Paul and Sam have good games and Zap doesn't feed. That's just how that's going to go. So it's really hard to say who I favor in that matchup. Smart money probably goes to Rival, right? Just because of who they are, what they've been able to accomplish. I think that they are just such a good team. They work together. So I think my dream finals here would probably be Rival Splice, and then having Splice walk away with the victor. I think Splice is playing the best team Smite right now. There's nobody who's really working together the way that they are. The only other team that really does that is Rival. So having the two best team playing game squads match up against each other would just be really good Smite to watch. There's not one person on either one of these squads that all of the wins kind of funnel through. Both squads have guys who can, step up and carry the games, and they can all be used to get wins with. So I think that's kind of the big thing going into the world. So what's going to be important? I think it's going to be Splice rival in the finals, and I want Splice to walk away with the championship this year. I think Aurora and Divios have earned it, and anything else would be just a little bit sad. Dignitas would also be a really good team to watch. Trifecta would be like any of these teams that have won today. Obviously I would have liked Obey to win, but it's just not in the cards. All of these teams are here for a reason, and I really genuinely like all of these teams, and I would be happy really with any of these guys winning. All right, so that's it for my talking portion of the show. My voice is going, my throat hurts so bad, but I powered through it for you guys. We're gonna cut it over to the Haithi interview, and that'll end our show. I'm sorry, guys, that this was so short. I'm sorry it was just me. I've been fighting sickness all day. I've been watching these games, but it just a lot of stuff goes on, that you can't really control. Next week, I promise, we'll have J-Mac back, and it'll be a better show. Hopefully I'm not sick still, and we can actually get some really good, better content and kind of get back on where we were before placements and worlds happened. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I hope you enjoy this interview with Haithi. It's probably one of my favorite interviews we've done, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Hello and welcome, everybody, to Around the Battleground. My name is LHS, and today my special guest for this interview is the latest meme lord sensation to come into the Smite scene. We've got the coach for LG, Mr. The Haithi. How you doing?
Hell yeah. I'm doing amazing. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
How are you doing this fine morning?
I'm doing all right. A little sick, so apologize for my voice and everything. Wife, I'm not even at HRX, but I got nerd flu somehow. Like, it's like my body knows. It's like, you should be there. You should be suffering. So yeah, wife got sick all last week, and I was like, all right, she's getting better. I made it through. I didn't get sick. I woke up this morning, and I was like, just felt like death. So fighting through that. But other than that, I'm pretty good. We've kind of known each other through proxy a little bit.
Yeah.
Mostly, but basically just through Banjo, really. That's how you really met. Yeah, I played a lot with Banjo, and then if you play with Banjo, you're eventually going to play with Kirmi, Dishonored, Haithi. Like, those are just things that are going to happen.
Our entire crew.
Yeah, it's just a big group of guys. And I love your guys' group. And then, I saw you got, there's a little bit of time before you got picked up by LG as a coach, where all of a sudden you were just in all of Weekend's videos and streams and everything, like out of nowhere. I guess, like, we're going to talk about like how you got here. And I guess that's a really good place for me to start, because like I feel like that was, I mean, outside, I don't know how many people actually like knew you from your time before. Cause I mean, you made some runs through like Combine and Challenger stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was a while ago, but yep.
Yeah, so you made some runs there. I'm not sure how many people actually knew you from there, but I mean, you've always been like high-ranked player, and then I feel like your first step into the spotlight, at least recently, was like getting to play with Weekend and everything. And it, like, there was a weird area where it was like, why is Weekend taking this random mid laner under his wing? What's going on? So kind of talk to us about that and how that happened.
Honestly, it was just from playing ranked. Most of the SML players knew of me or knew who I was, because, I'd always be trying to get my way into there somehow, trying to get into the SML. Everyone wants their chance to shine. Unfortunately, this year I didn't get one. But so, like, what you do is when you're not given your spot, you just want to practice, play more and more, try and get better and better. So that's all I did. I played ranked all day, every day, just queuing. So eventually I got into a game with Weekend. And I played normally. I played how I would, and I did pretty good. So, and I just went to his stream just like after, just to see, oh, maybe he said something. At the end of his stream, at the end of the game, he said something like, wow, this guy did really good. And at the time, duo queue was still available. So I'm like, let's shoot my shot. I just whispered him, hey, I don't know if you know me, but you trying to duo queue for TP just to like win? And he said, oh, hell yeah, dude. He invited me. And then I think us duo queuing, we won like the first 12 games straight back to back of duo queuing. Yeah, if you go into his YouTube channel, it would take some scrolling, but you can still find the first like game that he met me, and then his next video after that is the first game where he invited me to a party. Yeah, So honestly, it's kind of luck, but at the same time, it's a lot of like it's just mindless ranked grinding, just queuing
I
over
mean,
and over, hoping someone will
that's
notice
like
you.
a lot of like the success stories you see out of Smite, right? Like it's just
Yep.
like right place, right time, luck, but like there is all of that, but it's
Hmm.
also like putting yourself in that situation. I mean, that's the
It
story of
is.
like success the world over is just, I've been asked people like how do you make it into the the pro league and the minor league, whatever. It's like just grind ranked. If you're good,
Yeah.
somebody will eventually see you and you'll make your way into like in-houses or
Yeah.
something.
A lot of people hate to hear that too, because everyone wants to be like, what's the secret trick? Like, who do you talk to get known? It's like, you just play. I know people hate ranked and it gets frustrating, but you just have to play over and over and over. And eventually, it doesn't matter who, someone's going to be like, hey, this guy, he's like doing really good in every game. Maybe he's just good. And I'm lucky enough that happened to me.
Yeah. So
But like,
yeah, go
for
ahead.
the LG spot itself, that was actually the funny part. It wasn't Weekend who wanted me to do that. I had Conor or Clout or Vicium, whatever you want to call him, Vedium, on my friends list prior to this. Same with Gino, and they actually knew me just from ranked as well. And when they saw that I was queuing with Weekend and that I was pretty good at it, they Conor in specific asked me, "Hey, do you want to just come and sit in one of our scrims and watch and like see if there's anything we can do better?" And at the time, like I said yeah, because I just wanted to learn something, right? Like I just wanted to say, holy shit, I can watch an SPL scrim. That's gonna be amazing. So I just joined their Discord call, watched the scrim, and they asked me for feedback. I gave them feedback, and they said, "That's good feedback. Can you like do this permanently?" And I was like, "Wow, yes, I can." Yeah,
I love it. Yeah, like that's. I'm actually really surprised that it was Connor reaching out for you. It's like
yeah,
Connor's a weird guy because like you look at like the public facing image of Connor, and it's all
yeah,
super troll, not serious, and then to kind of hear the behind the scenes that like he was the one that like really kind of
yeah,
pushing that out there and trying to like, all right, we need a coach, we need to get better. Like let's try this Haithi kid out.
yeah.
So I don't know. That kind of blows
Very
my
nice
mind. Like
guy.
that. Yeah, I love Connor. Like
Yeah.
back to like the
According
Vedium
to,
days.
I talked to Gino a little bit, and apparently Gino was the same story. He played a lot of ranked. He knew all the lower end SML players, and someone named Vicium said, "Hey, you're really good. Do you want to try out for my team?" And then that's how Gino got into the SPL for season 4. Connor just kind of took his pick of the litter, and for
I
me, it
really
was the
I think
exact
that
same story.
I feel like I don't know. Like I just said that like like seeing that out of Connor, but now that you're saying it, like I feel like that's perfectly in line now, really, because like Vetty
Yeah.
was like one of those guys who's like he's been around forever. It's weird that
Mhm.
Connor's a veteran of the SPL now at
Yeah.
this point,
He's so young
and
too.
yeah, and that like I don't know because he got his like start by like a chance being thrown his way. So
Hmm.
it really it's kind of cool to see like the guys who were given those like those weird random coincidence chances,
Yeah,
then
yeah,
giving back to the community and
yeah.
making sure that other people kind of get into the SPL kind of the same way. Connor's a good
Hmm.
dude. You
Yeah.
Canadians, you're always you get that baseline, that
Amazing
foundation.
person. We gotta be nice. It's in our blood.
So,
Oh, man.
when did you join LG as a coach? What at what point of the season was that?
I think I first started like just joining their scrims and stuff at the very end of the second split. Yeah, it was the end of our second split. Yeah, so I just joined the scrims, just started helping them out, watching VODs, giving them notes, stuff like that. And then we played our last 2 games in the second split. We lost one set, won the other, which is I was pretty happy about that. Joining as a team, I'm 50-50. That's
Mhm.
pretty good for me. And then in between the second and third split, like the off season or off time, whatever you want to call it, that's when they like announced, oh yeah, he's going to be coaching for us. And then I basically coached
Okay.
them throughout the entire third split. Near the end of the third split and going into Worlds due to like personal reasons and being busy with just family stuff, I wasn't there as much as I wanted to be, but I was still their coach. Yeah.
How big of a change was it for you to go from like being a player working on your grind to get into the SPL, as a player to then
Yeah,
being
yeah.
like, oh, I'm a coach now. Like how hard was it for you to like to deal with like, oh, I can't, I'm not making it as a player. Guess I'm
Yeah.
gonna coach now. But then like actually like taking on the coaching duties, doing the analyst stuff,
Mhm.
and like working with these players.
I'm not gonna lie to you. When I first got they first said you should coach, I was super like stoked about it, happy, like holy shit, I get to meet all these SPL players. And then after a while, I started thinking to myself, like, I want to be a player, not a coach. What am I doing? I remember right before they announced me, I talked to them, and I'm like, I think I should just like coach you guys, but like not announce it just in case. I want to see like if I get an SML spot, how it would like if I got an SML spot, I'd rather do that, get more known as a player. But again, Conor talked to me about it. He said that I was an amazing player. I could easily get into SML if I wanted to. But instead of getting SML, he told me it was better for me to stay with LG, go through the entire last split, go to LAN, meet some of the higher up SPL players, get more connections that way. And he said, coaching isn't going to make me worse of a player. I heavily agreed with that. Like, if anything, it's just going to make me better. I'll understand the game more. There's only so many mechanics or small things you're going to learn to where, like, the mechanics don't matter anymore. You got to know the game, know what to do, when to do it. And coaching, I help them, like, remember all that. And I help myself, like, grind it in the back of my head, always remembering it. So now I'm still, like, people know me as a coach, but people also know me as a player. Because at LAN, I told everyone, oh yeah, I play as well. Oh yeah, my main goal is to play. I made it very clear to like everyone I met, like I want to be a player, not a coach. This is just like a stepping stone in my career path. So like you just got to make it clear to people, hey, I want to play. Even to SML teams, I talked to some of them. I told them, hey, like I still want to play. So next season, I'll be there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, knowing, like, I like how Connor put it in perspective, right? Where like, hey, you're not going to become a worse player. If anything, coming like as a coach myself, like I exactly what you're talking about, like the things getting grinded in the back of your brain from
Yeah.
seeing your players make the same mistakes game after game is just
Yeah.
like I'm never going to do that in a game myself, and like it's just the weird dichotomy of like
Excuse me.
I'm learning and I'm getting better as they're learning and getting better. And it's just like it benefits it all the way around. But
Yeah.
a lot of times you don't see like have we really I guess the only other example from a coach, like a player who transitioned to coach and then coming back as a high level player would be what, like Zeros, right? Has anybody else really
Zeros?
managed to
Not
do that?
young. Jigs, I think. Season one, I'm not sure what Jigs was doing. Season two, he was TSM's coach. And then season three, he became a full on player, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure if he was a player in season one, he might have been, but I know in season two, he was a coach.
He's got to
So,
be.
like,
Jig's been
it's a
around for
very,
forever, right?
yeah, it's a
Like as a
very,
player, he's
like,
been around forever.
it's a very small amount of people. Hopefully, I can join that ranking of people.
Yeah, it'd be a very
Oh,
small list of people. Like it'd be
yeah,
kind of cool. Like, yeah, how many people can say like they went between player, coach, player, and then
yeah,
obviously Zeros was a great player before he went and did coaching, but like
yeah, yeah.
Zeros after his coaching stint has been just an amazing
He's been one
player.
of the
And
best
so
mid laners, yeah.
yeah, so like there's definitely something to be said to
Hmm.
going down that coaching path. Like there are some people go to coach like myself, right? I
Hmm.
my game sense, my game knowledge, and all that's pretty good. I'm mechanics, right? Like I know I've peaked, right? I'm not gonna
Yeah.
make it as a player anywhere, right? Like I know that.
Hmm.
So it's like, all right, where can I go? Analyst, coach, all that kind of stuff. But like being being able to like have all of like the game sense and all that and the mechanics to
Hmm.
really back that up. Like coaching is only gonna fine tune that.
Yeah.
What's been the biggest thing you've learned since becoming a coach?
The biggest thing, obviously, one of the biggest things is comms. Being in comms with like your friends or like a CC team or an SML team, it's all different experiences. But like hearing comms with a pro level like SPL teams, it's just like it's kind of mind blowing. All the like for me, anyways. Like I know I'll be playing with like my friends, we'll be playing ranked or something, and someone will do something, and I'll just like call it out, and then I go into like scrims with these guys. Someone will do something, they'll call it out, they'll call out the timer of when it's going to be back up, when it's used, where they're going to be going next, and it's like, oh my god. That, and for me specifically, since I play mid myself, just watching like some of the great mid lane, like Keeg, Shadow, Gino, all of them play positioning is just it's just very helpful watching like some of the highest level mid players position and learning from that. Yeah. So just comms and
Positioning
positioning basically.
Yeah, positioning is one of those things where like my mid laner, like this is the biggest thing is like you need to watch these three like guys in the SPL. Their
Yeah.
positioning is out of this world. Like you're not like
Hmm.
it's hard to teach. It's like one of those things where like if you have it, you definitely have it and you're not losing
Yeah.
it. And like
Hmm.
you can mask so much bad play if you have good positioning. But like
Yeah.
the reverse, like so much good play can be overshadowed by
Hmm.
like bad positioning. It's like it's the Wubbin effect. Wubbin
Yep.
was a nuts mechanical player, but then just the worst positioning, right?
Just
Like
always getting
there,
caught.
there was that one split where he kind of like he restructured his personal life
Hmm.
and his game, like he stopped getting caught out. His positioning was nuts. Like he stopped being
Hmm.
a bot. And it's like, oh, Wubbin's actually good. And nobody believed it.
Yeah.
But position it comms is another thing. It's weird because I what you're talking about getting into like a high level SPL game like or
Hmm.
scrim or anything like that with players. I just got into like a ranked game with
Yeah.
Conor the other day, and we were
Yeah.
playing, and like I was playing support with him, and like we managed to get whatever like the ADC's beads, and like
Yeah. Yeah.
he actually in chat wrote out beads, and I was like, oh, this is what real smite's like.
Yeah.
Like having all of that like all of that communication. It's like there's so much to the game that goes beyond like the
Hmm.
normal experience for Smite is so vastly different from what it is at
From
the
high
highest
level
levels.
play.
Like
Yeah.
comms, information coming out, and everything like that. Like it's so crazy.
Hmm. It's an entirely different. Like people don't understand like how insanely different it is. I think it's the most impactful when you're playing jungle. You know, going into a random casual game, jungle game, just trying to go around jungling, ganking lanes, compared to going into like a higher level game where like your laners are telling you, "Hey, this is down, this will be up here. You can go here, you can go here and do this." It's a completely different world. I wish more people could experience it, but not everyone's at the
Yeah,
top. More people need to
I
grind
feel
and
like the
learn.
closest thing I think the closest thing we have is I think it was over the summer, maybe
Mhm.
beginning of fall, but Jeff Hinla was releasing like high level in-house like
Mhm.
videos on his YouTube channel, and
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was really interesting to see from like as like support players and everything because like the way that they were actually treating like real games, right? So you heard their
Yeah,
comms,
yeah.
like how they were strategizing and everything. And there was a while I feel like I forget who was doing it. Maybe Skeledon, but that doesn't sound right. But somebody was like streaming on Twitch. They were like, "Hey,
Mhm.
everybody, come in. We're doing in houses. If you want to
Oh,
come
I think that was
watch."
Barra. I think that was Barra. I'm not
Was
sure
that
though.
Barra? I
Because I
forget. Like
remember
somebody was like,
Barra
"Hey,
invited me to an in-house that he wanted to stream, and at the time we had scrims, but I would have done it if we didn't. And he just invited like a
yeah,
bunch of higher end ranked players.
yeah." That's always really cool to see. Is like when like actual serious in houses and stuff. Like those are
Mhm.
always really interesting, entertaining because like for sure it's a step below actual scrims and everything, but it's still like
Yeah,
that's the highest level of smite most people will get to see
are
on
ever
like
gonna
at a
like witness or
casual
see.
level. Yeah,
Hmm.
especially now like we don't we don't really get that many calm listens in
Yeah,
from
yeah.
lands or anything anymore. So like the hardest thing to teach, I think, for me right now is like I'm just trying to teach comms, right? And like
Hmm.
how do you where do you give examples for comms? It's like you can't get that
Yeah.
anymore. It's like where do I go for that? And so those in houses have been like a really good thing. Like whenever they
Hmm.
crop up, I was like, yes, go, you gotta go watch this. You gotta go watch this right now.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And plus,
uh
they're fun as hell as well, which is always a
yeah,
bonus
yeah.
on our side.
Yeah, it my team is just now we've got to the point and I feel like every good player or good squad if you ever get a team together like there's differences between like playing with a team and just having fun and never caring to
Hmm.
then like when you make that step and you're like I'm playing to get better, I'm playing seriously whenever I play
Hmm.
even if it's just casuals. Like we've got to that point where anytime we 5Q casuals it's an F6 at 10 and we win. Like, so it's just
Yeah.
like casuals are just not fun anymore because we don't get to play
Mhm.
the game. And then so
Mhm.
it's like we're always looking forward to scrims. We're always looking forward to in-houses. Like we're
Yeah.
like, I finally get it now. I've always heard people talk about how like customs are like where the best smite is and like how much fun it is. And like now we're just getting to that
Mhm.
point where like, oh, I get it. Like this is a lot of fun when you're actually like able to play the
Yeah.
game past 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, like a lot of people, they think, oh, the best way to play is like go into a game, pub stomp, go like 20-0. That's not it. For me, in my opinion, playing against a good mid laner, like my favorite rank games to play against are when I'm against SPL mids, because A, it's challenging. B, I might be learning something, and C, I get to show off. It's just such an amazing experience getting to play and just showing that you can like keep up with the best, like you're not getting smashed. And like whenever you get a kill, it's not like, oh well, he just kind of killed himself. It's, oh, you did a good play, you played well, like good job. It's like a really good self feeling, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's always that like in your casual games, it'll happen occasionally where you'll get that one SPL player who's just like
Yeah.
dicking around playing casuals.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. I'm 100% against. I played 2 matches against like SPL players, and I'm 100%
Hmm.
win rate. The first one, I was in a support matchup against Zatman on a Sobek.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a really interesting one. And then the last one we were in was my base. I was filling in as a support for my team,
Hmm.
and we were just running casuals. And we got into like a weekend cope. Like we basically got into like a full squad of those guys, and it was just like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, this is GG. And then somebody DC'd on their team, and we ended up getting the
Oof.
victory after getting stomped.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
like, I'll take it. It's technical, but I'll take it.
It's just an
So
amazing feeling.
yeah, anytime you get high level games or like high level players in your games, if you don't take those opportunities, I know that we have a one of my like we have like a coaching staff because we have
Hmm.
players who were gonna play for us with AVGL, but then because of NACE they couldn't, so they kind of just stuck
Hmm.
around to like help the team out and be support staff.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have one guy, he regularly will DM, like we have a group chat for all the players. He'll regularly post in there like, "Hey, I'm in a ranked game against Barra as an ADC. Can someone come in here and spectate this so that I can watch it back later?" Right?
Hmm.
And like that's like I never even thought about trying to do that when I get into these games. Right? It's like, oh, like that's a really good idea. And like taking those measures to like, okay, what did they do? How did I lose this? And it's like taking all of those moments to really maximize how you're learning the game, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so much like we've heard a lot of it recently. I think aggro's been the one that's really been parroting it, but like we've seen it crop up a few places. Is that like you learn so much more in losing scrims and smite games and everything like that
Hmm.
than you really ever do in winning, right? And so, like, I guess you guys have done a lot of learning over the last couple weeks, right?
Yeah, we've been learning quite a bit. We've been learning a whole lot. Oh,
I want to
it's
get
been a rough season.
I want to get into all of that, and then I got like so one last question as a coach, like as a coach, what has been the hardest part of that transition? So what's been like the hardest thing to deal with as like as far as being like giving the feedback and everything, and then has
The hardest
uh
thing.
yeah, I don't know. There's like
I don't.
there's a second part to this question that I'm trying to figure
Yeah.
out, but like let's focus on that first one. What's been the hardest
Well,
part about
there's a.
transitioning into
I
a
don't
coach?
think there's the one hardest thing. I think there's a bunch of like things you need to get used to. It's just like you just gotta like understand the people, right? You gotta understand. Like I remember with like when I first started coaching, every little mistake that would happen, I'd write it down. I'd tell them, "Oh yeah, by the way, you missed an auto at like 3 minutes and 42 seconds," and it's like yes, they did do that, but like your players understand, like they know they made those little mistakes. So you gotta like get used to looking the more broader scheme of things, like being like,
Mhm.
oh, and the problem wasn't we like missed this one ability here. It's that this team comp, our team comp centered around doing this. We didn't do this. It's like just getting into the mind as a coach. Because I think when I started going into it, I was in the mind of a player that was just a player that was just watching games, not as a coach. I would never be thinking about what we were doing wrong as a team, and I would always be thinking of what each player was doing wrong individually. I think that's the hardest thing is knowing you can't you're of course you want to like coach each player, but it's more important to coach the entire team as a unit. Tell them, hey, we have to be grouping and doing this. Our team comp goal is this, and picks and bans. All of us need to be thinking about this stuff like that.
Coming into this, I mean, like, so like we said, Connor's a veteran at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Weekend sure as hell is like one of the biggest veterans of Smite, and then you've got some relatively younger guys in that, especially Bobby coming in from console. You've got Mike with the role swap, right? Before he went to this mid role, had he played mid?
Nope, he had played no role besides support. This was his first time. That wasn't even oh, we need a better mid laner. It's just we all agreed at the time. We had all agreed if we kept Shadow Chair as our mid, we could do fine at this land, but we didn't think we would qualify for Worlds, and if we did, we didn't think we could win Worlds with that. So, and we thought we had a better chance of winning Worlds, or not winning, but qualifying for Worlds with a different mid laner and then putting Bobby in as support.
Okay.
Our original goal was to just like put Gino in mid and grab a random support from SML. We were just going to take, I can't remember who the support, I think it was in between like Left Syndrome and Mineral. We were going to decide between. And then it was me and Gino. We're like, hey, are you guys opposed to picking up a box player? And they were like, who? And it's like, oh, the guy that like won Worlds on box. And at the time, everyone was doubtful. They're like, oh, we'll give him a tryout, but we doubt we'll pick him up. And we gave Bobby a tryout. And I wasn't here for the tryout, but after the tryout, I remember Conor messaged me. He's like, this is the best support I've ever laned with. And I was like, wow. A big thing that Bobby brought to our games is his comms are unchallenged. I'm like 100% sure when I say this. Out of all the supports in NA, Bobby coming from box and playing his first split and only playing for like what? He played 2 games in the split. I bet you he has top comms and like he's like the top 5 players for comms. He is an amazing player when it comes to communications. He will always be calling shit out. He'll always be telling us when we want to fight, when we don't want to fight, what he wants to do. He's just an amazing player.
It's because especially as like a support player, like whether you're box or PC, like that's the stuff that really does translate, right? And like everything else is a little bit gravy, right? Like, I mean, you kind of look at like Brochacho, right? Who tried to make his run, but like it just didn't work, and you wonder why. Like he's always got these comms, but you need to be able to have the mechanical stuff. But so having him be able to take the PC pretty easily, and then all of like the championship level comms wherever you go, that foundation stuff is really super important. Like I know a lot of people look at Bobby and point at Bobby as like the fail point for LG across this whole land, but for him coming into that role, like stepping up from console and everything like that, like I was impressed. Like there was a lot of stuff. Like a lot of people are gonna meme. I think it was that Erlang game he had. I forget who you guys were playing against, but he was like 1 in 8 and whatever. But it's like, I was talking to Rathan on Twitter. It's like, actually, every time he's going in and he's dying, like LG's getting kills. We're at least a 1-for-1 trade. Usually, like most of the time, you're getting more than a 1-for-1, and like that's like there's a lot of that little stuff where it's like, okay, I mean that's perennially what's made like what Jeff a really good support. It's like I'm gonna die for this, but I'm putting you in a position to where you're going to get something to avenge me with and more. So I was really impressed. How difficult was it for you to like? You were kind of getting used to one team, and then having everything kind of switch. I mean, you still had Kiki Weekend and Conor, but having the switch with Mike to mid, did that change anything with Mike? I mean, he was still the same player, but in a different role.
I think it was kind of a problem because Mike's he's a very confident player to the point where like if he sees a fight, he doesn't care if he's like 2 levels down. He doesn't care if he's half HP. In his mind, he will outplay you and he will win the fight. And he was a support player, so it's like he'll run in, trade in a fight, and he'll get out. But like when you're playing mid and you're a mage, you don't have the luxury of being tanky and having a lot of health. So he'd run in and he'd die, and I'd be like, Mike, you can't do that anymore. He had the mechanics. The mechanics were fine. It was just a mindset. He needed to get into the mindset of, hey, I'm a mid laner now. I'm no longer a support. That was his biggest challenge. And for Bobby, it was easy. Bobby's an amazing guy, super easy to talk to. It would be like, hey, Bobby, I think we should be doing this. And he'd be like, okay, that sounds good. Or he'd be like, what about this? He'd like add on to the coaching. Bobby was amazing to work with.
When it came to like getting Mike in the mindset of a mid laner, our mid laner has a problem with dashes. Like he's a very aggressive player. So if he sees any opportunity, he'll like Agni dash in, do all his kit, and then look at him like,
Yeah.
oh, I either killed him or I'm dead. Like there's no in between
Yeah.
there. So like for a month, we banned him from playing anything with a movement ability. So he was playing just, you know, the Posh. He like the most movement we would give him was raw. Like, and then so it's like you have to learn positioning. Because you guys, was there any of that with?
Oh
with
yeah,
Mike
we had a
to
very similar
mindset?
tactic. For us, it was Gino would get picked a lot because he would keep going for these aggressive 1v1s or 1v2s when he shouldn't. So I think it was Weekend who came up with the idea. He said, Gino, how about this? For our last like week of scrims, every time you get picked for being over aggressive, that's $10 you're buying us, $10 worth of food you're buying us at LAN. And Gino said, I'm not doing that. And the rest of us said, yes, you are. And I swear to you, the next like 3 sessions of scrims we had, he probably got picked once or like once every session. So he had like what, $30, $40 owed at the end. He played very safe. He learned that I can't take every fight. I gotta sit back.
I love it.
Ugh.
I love it. I gotta add that to my little coaching book for the upcoming splits.
It's like a swear jar, an aggression jar.
Yeah. There's I feel like there's a lot of potential that across the board with Smite teams. There's a lot to learn from that. Yeah. So going into LAN, you guys were kind of looked at as a weaker team. I mean, there were people that were looking at you and like, well, LG, you know, they're okay. They've won some games, and what I didn't understand, there's like SK coming in, having not won anything going into the LAN, like putting SK above you guys. Was that like a factor, like mentally or anything with you guys, or like because you guys like on the outside looking in, your entire group is super chill. I love all of you guys. Like you are some of my favorite people in the scene just because of how like laid back you guys are. Like I've been going to bat for Weekend for a while now because I've met Weekend and I've hung out with Weekend and he's great. He's a fun dude. But now like seeing Weekend surrounded by you and Bobby and Conor and all these guys, like it makes for a lot of fun stuff. But is there more going on? Is there a more serious side behind the scenes that we're not really seeing?
Going into it? I don't know if this is like, I don't know if everyone's like this or maybe all 6 of us are just cocky fucking bastards, bro. But being told you guys, oh yeah, you guys are gonna lose and you guys are gonna get like first rounded, it just makes you want to play better. For us, it was like, let's go show everyone they're a fucking idiot. And of course, we didn't do as well as we wanted to. I'm pretty sure all of us had thought we would have done a lot better. We assumed we would have beaten Armada, gone up to Sigma, would have beaten Sigma, and we assumed that us versus SSG would have been like our big set, our real set, where we had to prove that like we are good players. We just had a rough split. Unfortunately, we didn't get to go there, but like being told, oh yeah, you guys are coming into this last place never affected any of us at all. We didn't really care if people thought we sucked. If anything, that made us want to show them, yeah, you guys are idiots. We're amazing players.
All right. I mean, I figured, right? Like that's the kind of persona you guys put out on social and everything. Conor, very cocky guy. All of the post-game interviews, right? Like, oh, we literally just didn't game plan for these guys. We literally just didn't care, and that's why it was so close, right? Like, first off, as a coach, hearing him just say that openly, publicly to everybody, was that like, were you just like, oh, why would you say that? Or
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you. We thought the Ladams were gonna be easy 2-0s at 20 minutes. I don't think I didn't game plan. I don't know if they did. We 100% thought, because we had scrimmed some Ladam teams coming into this. We had like days where we didn't have scrims, and it was either like take a day off or we can scrim one of the lower Ladam teams. So we scrimmed the Ladam teams, and every scrim we had against the Ladam teams was like it got so bad to the point where like we didn't want to scrim them anymore because it would just end up in us trolling because we'd get to like 20K ahead and not caring anymore. So we assumed the LAN games would be the same, where like they would just let us walk all over them. They put a lot more fight in at these LAN games, but we definitely underestimated them. We assumed it would be an easy 2-0.
You out of every, well, I guess the Weekend has the history with LATAM as well, but
yeah,
second to that, I mean, you're the LATAM trainer. Like, you're a part of that group, right? So like you, above anybody else, should know what the LATAMs are capable of. You should.
They're monsters. When you get them angry, they come to play. That was 100% our bad. We underestimated them completely. If we had planned more and like actually planned what we wanted to play and what we thought they were going to play, I have no doubts that we would have 2-0'd them easily in like 20-30-minute games. But the fact that we went into it blind, I think that's what made it like the Anubis pick. Do you know where that pick came from? I don't know if anyone tweeted about it. The night before, Gino said, "Who are we playing tomorrow?" And I said, "The LATAMs." And he said, "Oh, can I play Anubis?" And I said, "No." And he said, "No, it can work." And we were at dinner, and I don't know how he did it. He talked all of us into it that it would work. And we're like, all right, the next day we woke up, and he's like, "I'm playing Anubis today." He's like, "I don't care what happens. I'm picking Anubis today." Too cocky of us. We assumed it'd be an easy 2-0.
Into Smitero, who's probably the best international jungle in the game. Not a great idea to pick the Anubis. But so what you're telling me is if you would have just sent like one DM to Kiermi or Leo or any of those guys, I'm like, hey, what's LATAM doing? You could have just 2-0'd, right? Like,
I probably could have. We didn't expect it at all. Oof.
So is that so we kind of see this kind of played out again and again over LANs, right? Where like the SPL, the SML, they'll play against international, and they most of the time never caring, right? Oh, they caught us off guard. Do you think that we're getting to the point, like, because year after year we're seeing these international teams almost walk away with a victory here and there, and then SPL players like, oh, we got to get serious. Do you think we're getting to the point where the SPL, SML, they're not going to be able to do that anymore? Do you think we've reached that yet, or are we still like another year maybe away?
I think we're definitely still a little bit away. I don't think any of the international regions can compare to NA yet, just because, lack of player base, so they have lack of practice. And I know this is a thing for China. I don't know about other regions, but China, they actually play like 3 patches behind, I'm pretty sure. Like if we get a patch, they'll be 3 patches behind. So when they're coming into LAN, they'll be coming in like 2 patches behind. So like for them, I don't think it's possible. The other regions, just having the lack of players, so like not getting good enough practice is what's really killing them. Like just not being like for the LATAM teams, if an SPL team isn't busy, they will scrim you, and they're like an SML team could scrim you. Like LATAM teams have been getting better and better practice every year, and they've been like getting better and better every year. So I think for the LATAM teams and the Brazil teams, they have potential to like, maybe sneak their way into Worlds like next year if we do the same format. But for any other region, I just don't think it's possible. I just think NA and EU are just too dominant.
Yeah, I think I really agree. Like, I think LATAM probably has the best shot just because of, their proximity to NA. They're getting scrims. I mean, there was like Eager was scrimming specifically a LATAM team all the way up until their Worlds run, because that's all they could do, right? And we saw LATAM get better there. But what about OC? I feel like OC is a weird place because they have not sent the same team more than once to any LAN, but every year, it was Direwolves. Last year it was Scylla, who had like a bunch of potential. This year Atletico. Like every year we get a squad from OC that's like, whoa, if they stick together, if this team keeps growing the way that they have been, that'll be a scary team. If we finally break the curse of OCE teams like just breaking up and everything, and we see Atletico again next year, do you think they're still behind LATAM, or based on like
I
how
think
good of a showing they had, do you think they're
I
on
think
par with
if
that?
we were to take like any region and just pick up their teams and move them to NA or move them to EU, of course, I think right now the strongest teams would be the LATAM teams, but I think the OCE teams have the most potential as players. I think the OCE teams are they're like really good players. They just can't practice. Again, scrimming in these smaller regions is very hard because there aren't many teams. And I know OCE ranked is impossible to play. Not enough people play ranked down there. So you cannot play ranked if you're in OCE. If you're in higher ELO, I'm pretty sure it's like diamond or above. If you're ranked in diamond or above in OCE, it's just you'll never get a Q pop. There's never enough people playing
Yeah.
ranked there.
To elaborate on that,
game.
to elaborate on that, last year I was hanging out with all of the Scylla esports guys, and I was talking to Saber, who was the coach and manager for them, and he was telling us like what the OCE ranked experience was, what competitive was out there, and it's literally a group chat with every single player who's like at a certain elo and above, and it's like, hey,
Yeah.
we're gonna play ranked. Everybody get on in queue. Like, and it's like you have to coordinate to that level in order to play any ranked, and that's crazy. Like that's what other regions have to deal with. That's insane to me.
I don't know if I don't think this would work for Smite, but League of Legends has a similar problem to where for OCE, League of Legends OCE, they close ranked during certain hours of because like in their mind they said if you queue ranked in this hours, the games are either going to take forever in queue or you're just going to get bad quality matches. So for League of Legends, I'm pretty sure in OCE you can only queue like I think it's like from 11 a.m. to like 8 p.m. Those are the hours you can queue ranked, and besides that, you cannot queue because they said the matchmaking either is going to be horrible or the queues are going to take forever. I think Smite, if we had more players down there, could do the same type of system to at least make ranked playable. But right now, it's tough for those boys. I want them to do good. I want more regions to be very good, but it's just not a thing that can happen right now, just with the size of Smite.
Yeah, it's the international scene definitely needs attention, and we'll talk about that in the coming weeks, and hopefully we get some good information coming about season 6 and everything. We get some more competitive stuff.
Season 6 competitive. Can't say anything yet, but it's looking really good. It's looking very, very good.
I like to hear that. So going back to LG at LAN, so you guys didn't prep for the LATAM team. So you guys assumed you were going right in, and your first game after that was Obey, right?
Obey, yep. We spent a long, long time prepping for that. We are very prepared for Obey. I just think when it came down to it, Obey are very skilled players. I think we knew our strengths. We wanted to get a lead, stick with our lead, and abuse the fact that we are all very good at playing with a lead. That's what we did in game 1. And we eventually tumbled and threw our lead. That's on us. And in game 2, we were just never able to get that lead, and that's why Obey beat us. I think if we won game 1 and didn't throw it, we would have had that momentum of, hey, everyone says we're the worst team, and we beat the best team here. Like, we're amazing. Let's go into game 2 and let's beat them again. I think if we won that game 1, we had potential to 2-0 Obey. But stumbling in that game 1, I think that really screwed us over.
I really appreciated the strategy that went into that game 1 because getting into a game with EU, there's like the countdown, right? If you let the game go to about 30 minutes or so against an EU team, your chances of winning go down a lot, no matter who you are, right? So even though this year a lot of the games we've seen are those longer games, like we're seeing, I think, average times of about 28, 30 minutes or so.
Yeah.
You guys knew what your strengths were, and you were like, okay, EU is more passive. They're gonna just play their lanes. They're gonna they're gonna play for that mid late game scenario. If we come in from the get go trying to punch them in the mouth, we can knock them off balance and maybe establish a early enough lead to where we can just push that lead and win. You guys did that, and it was I really, really liked that thought process there. And you guys had that game until I think it was a fight in mid that just some questionable decisions that were made, positioning, and just some bad What Prime was on Zeus and just got it was a double kill, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Bobby tried too hard to pick Twig, and then Gino and Weekend were in the corridor mids, and we're trying to follow up on Bobby that was chasing way too far. So Prime just threw his shield in there and a chain lightning, and he got to Weekend and Gino to like 20% before the fight even started, and then the fight did start, and they just 4-man wiped us, and it was rough.
Yeah, it was. That was the point in the game where it's like if that just goes a little bit differently, you guys potentially just win the game off like there then and there. But like dropping that was like, oh, that's Obey getting back into the game. That's their confidence builder they needed, and so it was. I will always look at this LAN performance by you guys, and I'll look at that Obey set and be like, no, LG has a lot of potential there. Do you think if you guys have been playing with this roster for more than like a day that you potentially do a lot better at that LAN?
Yeah, I 100% think we do. Gino is still very new to mid. There's only so many like VODs you can watch to where like, oh yeah, I'm a mid laner now. Bobby is still very new to like Bobby and Conor are still very new to each other, which is also going to hinder you if your support and ADC aren't like haven't been playing together for like as long as they don't need to play together as long as Jeff and Barra, but you got to have an idea of playing with each other. It's because going into it, I think Bobby played in our final set in the third split of SPL, and then we just had 1 month of scrims, and that was it. I think if we made the roster change from the start of split 3, it would have been completely different. I don't think we would have came into the LAN as last seed. I think we definitely would have had potential to like be higher than CLG, Trifecta, and then you could, maybe contest SSG for their third place spot. But like just coming into it with not enough practice, and we were just unable to do it.
It's a shame. You're one of the squads that I really kind of want to see stick together. There's a lot of potential there, and it was tough kind of seeing you guys go down. I'm always a fan of the dark horses. In years past, I was always a big fan of Noble when they were kind of around. I really liked what they could do. They had a lot of potential, and it just never came together. You guys are kind of picking up that now. You guys are just so damn lovable. Like watching you guys on social has just been a complete joy, and like I'm always looking forward to seeing you guys' interactions. And Bobby in particular, like is a guy from the console scene that I've kind of like. I just gravitated to him because he's just a fun dude. And then after he got picked up by you guys, I've interacted with him even more now, and I just love the guy.
Bobby was like the poster boy of the console scene. He's like, when you thought of console, that was the first person you thought of. Everyone knew who he was because he was like one of the bigger Twitter accounts. Of course, he won a world championship. He was always on a top team. And I think Bobby's actually the first player in SPL history that played in the SPL that started out Smite on the Xbox. Bobby's first interaction with Smite was through the Xbox. And I don't think any other SPL player has done that. I think every SPL player besides him has started on PC, maybe they've gone to Xbox for a little bit, came back, but he's the first one that started on Xbox and came from Xbox.
That's a lot. Point. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah. That's a big deal, and for him to do as well. Like again, we said it earlier. Like people are gonna meme on him for like the early lane game, but he was getting stuff done, and that's what you kind of need to do as a support. So we're out of placements now. You guys unfortunately didn't make it. How was like team mood, morale, and everything after you guys got eliminated and everything? Is that what is there that is the desire there to like get better? We can pick ourselves up from this. I liked what we saw. We're gonna get better.
I remember the team mood right after we lost to Obey. It was, hey, we were winning game 1. These guys suck. We're good. We can win losers bracket easily. Right after losing to Obey is when we said, oh, our next game is against I think it was Armada was our next game against, or was it? Yeah, it was. We also had planned for Armada. We went in with the same game plan of, hey, we're good players. We can beat them. This should be another easy 2-0 for us. But Cope just had different plans. There was no like sadness or anything. It was more like, hey, we did good. We can do better. We need to just get in the mindset of we can do better and just play. And with play our game, and we will be fine.
I like to hear that. And then, I mean, losing to Cope, especially like weekend losing to Cope, there's like that bittersweet, right? Where, you know, they've been friends forever. And it's like, I'm happy for you. I'm sad it happened to me. But, you know, watching you guys go forward, I'm assuming you guys were kind of rooting for Armada at that point, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, we wanted the. I was rooting for any of the SML teams because Sigma was still in the play at the point. The SML player in me came out, the non-coach. You know, just saw, why don't you get to Worlds, prove that we're amazing? You know, unfortunately, neither of them made it. But I'm close friends with a lot of the Armada boys. I've talked to them through Ranked, just through Discord. So I was really hoping they'd do well. Cope especially was playing out of this mind this entire LAN. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure he said he's not going to be playing in Season 6 at all. No SPL, no SML. He said he'd play casually, but he's done, which sucks to see, Cope. I definitely think Cope had like a chance of getting the SPL jungler spot. Amazing player.
I absolutely agree. For those of you who don't know, Cope made an announcement, I think yesterday. We're recording this interview on Thursday, so I think he made his announcement Wednesday, November 14th, about how he wanted to continue his SPL dream, but he couldn't give up his current job and his career opportunities there that are really, you know, there's a bright future there for what the SPL and all of that instability. And then even playing in the SML would just be a constant reminder of that, and he couldn't do it. So he is, you know, not going to be playing competitively. He has not ruled out potentially taking up a coaching spot somewhere. He's going to think on that. And I just really hope that we see him in the community still. I would love to be able to see, you know, streaming from him or just popping in and out like that. But, you know, definitely losing him is a big blow to the, you know, Smite community at large for competitive. So, I know it's. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say all the SML junglers, they've just Lasbra as well played amazingly. I think that because like when I think roles in SPL that could be worked on, I never assume jungle. I feel like every SPL jungler, NA and EU, performs amazingly. They're all high level players, and then you watch the SML and you're like, damn, like you guys are amazing too. These are the moments where like I wish it was still what was it before 8 teams per region. Mm-hmm. I love the 8 teams per region format. I feel like there's too much talent in the SML where I want to see all these players in the SPL. I want to see them all doing well, but sometimes you just don't get a spot, which really sucks.
Going into Season 6, I know it's a little early, but are there plans right now to keep this squad together at least? Moving forward, or should we expect some roster changes?
I can't say anything about that personally. I can say about myself. I can't say anything about the other guys, but I'll say it myself. Mm-hmm. I plan to not coach anymore. I want to play in the SML now that I've gotten like more like grounded with my skill and like I know how to play the game better. I want to try and play in the SML. Hell, if an SPL team wants me, I'll take that too. Doesn't have to be SML. I plan to play in the SML. I want to get into the SPL eventually. I do not want to coach again. Obviously, if coaching somehow offers like, I want to play in the SML, but if they don't up the SML money at all, I feel like I might still coach. That would be the only reason I'd still coach. It's just like, I have IRL stuff too. There's things I have to pay for myself, and like, yes, it's my dream to play in the SPL, but sometimes you gotta think about like your IRL dreams because like I need to be able to afford food. So like I might still coach depending on the payment, but if not, I plan to going into the SML. All the other guys, I can't say anything about what they're doing, but they've all got some stuff in the works though.
All right, very cool. I like to hear it. Also, LG. If you're looking for a new Smite coach, I am available. You know, just let's shoot your shot.
I'll let him know.
All right. So earlier today, I posted on Twitter for people to ask questions. So let's go look at what Twitter had to say for you.
Oh no, all the memes are gonna come out now. No.
We have from at Jake Amaro. Is Jake Amaro a dominant ADC player?
Oh, definitely not. Awful player.
Definitely.
Horrible player. Should definitely quit the game. Uninstall. You're worthless. You're never
Mhm.
gonna be. No, I'm joking. Jake's a friend of mine. Aspiring ADC player. I hope to see him in CC because I remember he played in CC, but he took a little bit of a break. I hope he comes back. I want to see him playing there.
All right. Next one is Rathan. His comment is just future former coach, which
Oh,
based on your what your aspirations is kind of maybe technically correct,
very
just
true.
not
I
for the reasons he's
I
trying to
do want
say.
to be a player, so I guess Rate's
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah. And then we've got from at Glazy B. How much did you pay Weekend for the coaching spot?
$50,000. No, no. I get that's the funny thing. Everyone assumed, oh, so like Weekend gave you the spot. It was not Weekend's idea. 100% Vishim's idea. He's the one who wanted me.
Mhm.
I
All right.
I I, I wish I wish I paid him. That way I could keep the. That way I know next season if I don't get an SML spot, I could pay him again. But
You know the
unfortunately,
price.
that's not how it happened. Yeah, I know the price.
From at Suspect Joey, how handsome is Inbound?
Oh, unbelievably. Definitely the most handsome man in the SPL. I got to share a room with him, so I got to see him like fresh in the morning, no hair done, no makeup. He's still a god. Beautiful.
Oh, all right. And then our last one is from at Whole Am Os. Do memes tenderize the roughness of humiliation? That's a
I feel
real
like we gotta
question.
get. I feel like we gotta get kind of we need a philosopher in the call. That's what we need. To me, I feel like they do. Maybe that's a
Because
rough
like
question.
that's
I might have to
definitely
think
like what
about that one.
you guys definitely like were memeing up the entire
Mhm.
time, like
Yeah.
future world's losers, whatever, like everything like that, or like going the opposite directions where like the confidence and all that, like
Hmm.
putting that up to 11 and everything. But you guys definitely took it in stride and used the memes about the
Hmm.
situation, right? And I feel like that that makes it easier to deal with. Like it's easier to like laugh about it, and like that's just who you guys are,
Yeah.
like personality wise.
Yeah. I think it's kind of like an acceptance thing. Like, yeah, we lost, but we tried our hardest, which is all that matters. So let's laugh. It's better to laugh about something than be sad about it, right? That's what we tried
Right.
to do. We lost. Might as well be happy about it.
Yeah, and there's people like who will be like, oh, you guys didn't even care. You're laughing about it and everything, but it's like I know these guys. Like losing is not something that like doesn't have weight, right? Like all
Hmm.
of these guys want to win. They're deep like competitors and everything. So like on the outside, they're laughing and joking, but like it's to deal with like, all right, we lost, ha ha ha. But I
Hmm.
guarantee you, even I'll ask this question. Even after losing, did you guys do VOD review?
Huh? After losing, I'm pretty sure I watched the VODs back, and I'm pretty sure all of us watched the VODs back, but we all watched them ourselves. Like when we're prepping for games, we're
Mhm.
all together in a room, and we watched the VODs together. And after we lost to Armada, we all went to like our separate hotel rooms because our games were pretty late. We were laying in bed. I know me and Bobby were watching the games just in our room. I know Connor and Gino were watching them in their room with Weekend, so I'm assuming he was watching them too. I think Kiki, I'm not sure, but I'd assume he watched them because we all wanted to know what went wrong, what could have we done better, like what was our problem, how do we fix it? Because we all still want to like be good players and continue to play, right? You can't just lose one set and think, well, my career is done, it's over, like let's never play again. You want to keep getting better over and over and over. You never just want to stop and think, okay, I'm done playing Smite. This game sucks.
So, unfortunately, we're kind of at time. We've got another show that's going to be coming up. It's like there's so much you and I could talk about. I'm sure I'll
Yeah.
have you on as a guest at some other point. But is there anything you want to kind of leave the audience with? Any shout outs you want to give? Just you say whatever you want. You've got the floor is yours.
Uh, I don't know. Shout outs to Vitium for giving me the opportunity to come to LAN and meet up with all these guys. Shout outs to Weekend for noticing me. And then to all you people that wanna be pros, you're gonna hate to hear this, but play ranked, play it over and over and over every day. When I started this game, I was in the first time I played ranked, I was in silver 4. About a month ago, I was in grandmasters. Like, you get better. You will get better the more you play. There were countless times when I was in silver, I was in gold. I said, I don't want to play this game. It's too like my teammates suck. Like, don't worry about your teammates. Focus on yourself. Focus on improving, and you will improve as long as you believe in yourself.
Absolutely. All right. So that is Haithi, the coach for LG. You can follow him at the Haithi. Do you still stream at all, or is that something you kind of put on the back burner?
I have planned. I just yesterday I got my my new stream overlay made. It's being made right now. I'm kind of waiting for it to finish, and I was gonna hop back on the streaming grind. The streams are coming
So
soon.
what's your Mixer account then?
Actually, I use pornhublive.com/the Haithi, guys.
All right. So I'm assuming your Twitch is also the Haithi.
I'm pretty sure my Twitch is just Haithi by itself. If not, go to my Twitter. My Twitch is in the bio. Just find it. It's a good, and watch my stream. It's a good time.
All right. So thanks for coming on, Haithi. Loved having you.
Thank you for having me.
Best of luck in your pursuit going into the SPL and the SML as a player. I'll definitely, you have me as a fan wherever you go. So I'll be rooting for you. And best of luck going forward. This is really all I got to say. Thank you, everybody else, for watching. My name is LHS. This has been Around the Battleground. Really looking forward. This weekend is the Smite World Championship. I guess I should ask you in this closing part, Haithi, who's going to win Worlds?
I think Dig's gonna win it, but I'm really hoping for Sam to win it because I love Sam and I love Shadow. So I want Trifecta to win, but I think Dig's gonna take it.
All right, there you go. From an official SPL coach, he says Dig's gonna win. All right. Obviously, at this point, we've discussed who I think is going to win. So thanks for coming, everybody. I will see you maybe next week to talk about, probably next week. We'll see you to talk about all of the stuff that happened at this year's Worlds. So tune in for that. And thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week. Goodbye, everybody.